this Italian powerhouse is after one of our midfield players this window. We discuss the club's plans to sign these 3 French players in the summer. We have some more Antonio Rudiger news, as well as the fact that we could see a potential youth exit in this window as well. Hope you guys enjoy. And I'm going to ask you as well, you guys, smash that like button. Not only does it help me see how you guys are enjoying the content, but at the same time, it also helps me with the algorithm as well too. This job can be a bit stressful when you're constantly just fighting against the computer algorithm left, right and center. Hope you guys enjoy. And without wasting any more time, we kick things off, and I want to talk positive news. After yesterday we reached our first domestic final of the season after beating Spurs 1-0 away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Antonio Rudiger was our match winner. He has been one of our best players, if not top 3, for the past 12 months, ever since Tuchel's taken over. And honestly, this whole contract situation for me is getting longed out because I think it's fairly obvious and fairly easy. We must pay him the money that he rightfully deserves. Now, we have some more positive news coming out today from The Athletic reports, and they report that the club and Rudiger's reps are holding more contract talks. I'm hoping that these contract talks this time lead to a finalised move being made. Rudiger at this point in time just wants a 4-year deal with a wage between 180k per week and 200,000. Now you'd imagine that won't just be like a baseline salary. That's going to include many clauses that could be activated, many bonuses as well too, and a nice signing on fee as well to help mitigate some of those expenses when it comes to paying him his wages. I don't think it's unrealistic. Back when we were getting full support suggesting that Rudiger wanted 400,000 a week, it was absolute nonsense. And after seeing just how valuable he has been, it's actually got me thinking things even deeper. Recently, we've had a massive habit of overspending and giving incredibly large contracts to attacking players. Yet when you look at the defensive counterparts, where you could argue that our defenders have been our key players over this past 12 months, it's clearly not being reflected by their contracts. I understand why Rudiger and Christensen didn't just commit instantly to the deal the club offered them. When they see players like Verona on 270k per week, they're seeing attacking players like Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, Havertz, many more earning way more than them. And even going lower down the pecking order, you guys, even players like Marcos Alonso, who's on 150k per week, is earning more than the 140k per week offered by the club to Rudiger. It's no surprise why Rudiger, Christensen, Azpilicueta, they're all looking at this situation thinking what the hell is happening. And of course, when you look at other players in the squad like your Reece Jameses, your Mason Mounts, they're still earning way below what their value does show on the field compared to the big name signings who have been given massive deals, but you could cynically say haven't necessarily reflected their worth as consistently on the field as other players. So, you know, when people talk about youth players getting big contracts affecting wage structures, it's not like that. Let's look at the new signings. Let's look at existing players as well too. Chelsea Football Club, it would be crazy not to give Rudiger the money he deserves. Let's hope we keep this guy because for me, he's one of the best defenders in the world right now. Now, we turn our attentions back to Serie A, and the latest reports do come from Damasio, where he reports that Juventus are strongly looking at Loftus Cheek as a replacement for Artur in their midfield. Now at this point in time, Arsenal are showing a lot of key interest in signing Artur on loan in this current window. Currently, Juventus aren't particularly satisfied by the offer presented by Arsenal, and if he does go, Loftus Cheek is part of that shortlist that they want to replace him. Other players such as Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon and of course Renato Sanchez from Lille are other options, however they cost a ton more money, and Juventus see Loftus Cheek as a smart acquisition, especially after his very good performance against them in the Champions League and that masterful assist that he produced in that 4-0 win. Now you guys, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions. And I have to say, I feel that Loftus Cheek has become really underrated for this season, and it's kind of surprised me. You know, you look at some of the stats that show his performances after the game, he's not ranking low. He's been one of the, decent performers this season considering the minutes he's had and the amount of sub appearances that he has made on the field as well too. It does feel like after that small game versus United and the subsequent game afterwards, his stock just went all the way downhill, with people just ignoring the tactical reasons behind why our midfield looked very stifled in those small few games that we faced earlier this season. With Ruben, I could see Juventus as an amazing opportunity for him because Juventus currently play in a 4-3-3. I could see Ruben playing in his best position on the left hand side of a midfield 3, in which we saw under Sarri what Ruben can really do. When he receives in that left hand channel, We see how he's one of the best at breaking the lines. I mean, his dribbling stats this season still show him as being one of the key #1 players alongside Kovacic in this area. And down that left-hand side, angles on the field open up. That's why he can take better accurate shots there, because he's taking shots with wider angles compared to playing on the right-hand side where you have to play more of a supportive role. I do feel like this season though, Ruben's game has been misunderstood. We've seen Ruben playing the Jorginho role over him. He's playing as a 2 in a pivot. And when you play in that role, you can't break the lines with that same regularity, which you can do playing in a midfield 3, having that protection alongside of you. And this is where I feel Ruben Loftus Cheek has shown a new part of his game, with even myself not even realizing that he could possess this. And I have to say his defending this season has been commendable and it has been good. He's shown to be a good screen in front of the defence. He has the highest duels for aerial duels in the team. Ground duels as well too. He wins a lot of his 50-50 duels as well. And I just think defensively and tactically he's definitely shown that he can play that role. Hence why Tuchel has decided to use him in that Jorginho role. He's been a very good squad option to have. However, if Juventus make their interests even more concrete, I wonder if Ruben would decide to go. Me personally, having the opportunity to just really maximise your career and your playing style and how you play could be a lot better for you in the long term compared to still committing to the club where, you know, next season there'll be even more competition coming from Gallagher returning and of course a possible move for Tchouameni as well. Who knows if he could leave? I guess it would depend on the replacement for him, and with Billy Gilmour being actually at the club at this point in time, returning back on injury, could we allow Loftus Cheek to leave, so of course allow Gilmour to stay? I still think it's a bit fantasy, but again you guys, Ruben's stock is still high in Europe. We've seen many English talents have a resurgence in Serie A. For me, this could be a very smart move for him, and of course it would allow him to play his best football. So you guys, let's now move on to the next story, and let's talk about the reports coming out from L'Equipe, where they report that we still hold strong interest for Jules Kounde, Tchouameni, and Presnel Kimpembe of PSG. Now we know that Chelsea are after best friends Kounde and Tchouameni. Maybe we can see both these guys here next season. Kounde incredibly close to signing for us. The deal fell through in the end. Why? Originally our 42.7 million fee was accepted, hence why we agreed personal terms with Kounde. However, in the 11th hour, once Monchi, the sporting director of Sevilla, found out that we had just sold Kurt Zouma for up to 30 million to West Ham, instantly he came up with a new offer saying, I want you guys to pay Kounde's full release clause of 68 million. That of course derailed everything, but at the same time I can kind of understand it, because now you're thinking, okay, you know, we've just received big money, we have all these earnings and winnings from the Champions League too. If you want Kounde, now's your time to pay for him. Of course, this did not come to fruition. Kounde was disappointed. However, there's strong reports that this deal will continue for next summer and Kounde could finally be our man. So we have to see with this one. Now we move on to Tchouameni, and the club originally proposed signing Tchouameni in January and then loaning him back to Monaco until the end of the season. Monaco did not like that. I'm guessing naturally they could, you know, entertain a bidding war for the player and earn even more money from him, which makes more sense considering that, you know, a lot of Ligue 1 clubs are still being affected financially by COVID, and of course the whole TV rights controversy that happened last year as well too. So this makes more sense. And for me, now that your Uniteds, your Liverpools, your Juventuses and many other clubs are showing strong interest to sign him, he has to be that key guy we sign, because for too long we've needed a strong midfield player for the past few years to just give Kante a time to breathe so we don't overuse him and just force these unnecessary injuries on him. It's happened for too long now that we haven't done the right business we need. This summer, there's no more excuses, because if you want the league title, midfield is the best, most important key place that helps you win that. I have to see Tchouameni here next season. And of course, in the case of Kimpembe, I reported you guys back a few months back now that Kimpembe was growing a bit disillusioned with life at Paris Saint-Germain and is very interested in having an adventure in the Premier League. His main two clubs he's looking at, United and of course rejoining Tuchel as well too. And I guess considering the latest news that Christensen has had a contract offer presented by him by Borussia Dortmund, who knows if Kimpembe could be that replacement for Christensen if he decides to go. Now, I do personally feel like Dortmund would be a bit of a step down if Christensen decided to sign for them. However, at the same time, you know, the more contract offers presented to you gives you more leverage when negotiating back with the club, and I really feel like Christensen would prefer to remain here as well too. My only thing with these stories though is that I hope the reality actually pays off this time, Last summer, after we won the Champions League, there was talks of a 200 million war chest by Roman. In the end, we sold 80 mil worth of young talent and players to fund a move for Lukaku, and there was no money for anyone else. It was always a sell players to sign someone else. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be, and considering the latest news surrounding like the big pre-tax losses we faced for last season as well too, are we going to see more of the same for next summer? I'm really not too sure, you guys. So now we end things with the final story. This involves young players Xavier and Mbuyamba, and Italian club Hellas Verona are looking at the possibility of bringing him on loan before this window ends. Now, with Mbuyamba not really getting much game time, was still making his first team appearance, I think the reality is, when potentially could he make that? The fact that, for example, Lewis Hall played over him against Chesterfield, and the fact that Tuchel hasn't really turned towards him at all during the squad's difficult period with injuries, maybe that gives us an indication that Tuchel just doesn't think Mbuyamba's ready at this point in time. Could be a lot of context behind that, you guys. Of course, last season Mbuyamba was essentially out for the entire season with injuries, and I guess, you need to just give the player more time to slowly rehabilitate, get back to, trusting their body again, and that can take time. So maybe this is why you can't rely on a player like this right now. Of course, we need defenders for the under-23 team, but for a player of this potential, getting exposure to a high division level of football could be the best move for him right now. Of course, Hellas Verona, he's part of their transfer shortlist, so it's not a guaranteed move at this point in time. However, don't be surprised if he does go. What I find interesting though is that his contract ends next year, 2023, and we know that we don't allow players to leave unless they sign a contract extension first. So I guess we'll get a lot more context as the days go on, you guys. But regardless, on that note, that is the end of today's News Daily video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please check out the rest of the content in the cards above and description below. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.